Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Emily.
How are you?
I'm good.
You look so beautiful today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me too.
So maybe let's start there. Tell us about yourself, who you are and what you do.
All right. So my name is Joan Tuo, and I'm a career coach. So basically what I do is I work closely with individuals and groups of people to help them get jobs that are aligned with their strengths, their skills, and their passions. Over the years, I've noticed the categories of people that I love to work with are, number one, I love working with stay-at-home moms who are trying to get back into the job market. I also really love working with university graduates, so people who just freshly graduated from school and they're trying to get work. I'm also very passionate about working with people who are trying to recareer. So somebody who probably did the wrong degree or they've been working for X number of years and then they decide now, this is not what I really want to do. I want to recareer into something else. The other group of people is people who struggle with imposter syndrome. So there are people who are very talented, but they're not paid well. For one reason or the other, they don't believe in their worth, etc., and they're trying to look for work. So I think my passion lies in trying to help people get not only work that they're passionate about, but then they also end up being paid what they're worth. Yeah.
Sounds like such exciting work. We've seen you on social media for many, many years. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little about your family.
So I have 3 boys. Many people call me Mama Boys. So I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and 2-year-old. Definitely a handful. So I think I'm in this season of my life where it's very busy. So these boys, they keep me young. And also because then it's a time when I'm building my business, but then again, it's that this time is when they really, really need me. And so I think it's very busy up in here. It's very busy at Joanville.
Yeah, but we've seen you just really enjoy being a mom and showing us how you are thriving on social media. That's been exciting to see. So, Joanne, please share with us your journey and what inspired you to support people in working towards their career success. How did you get into the career space, career support space? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I actually studied psychology in school. So I thought I was going to end up as a counselor because actually counseling is something that I love to do. So, I did psychology. I specialized in a field of psychology called industrial psychology, which entails matching people with their right careers. So I knew I'd play around with counseling. If that does not work, I can fall back on industrial psychology. So industrial psychology was actually my plan B, not plan A. And so very early on in my career, I did a lot of counseling, which I loved. I was working in a school, which I really loved. And then I got a job in HR. So this particular job, they were looking for HR professionals, but you needed a master's in psychology. You needed to be as a continuing master psychology student. So that's how I got into HR. It was not my first, it wasn't my first plan. So I got in and I really loved recruitment. And I think one of the reasons why I loved it is because it's what I studied in school, matching people with their right jobs. So I really thrived in the recruitment space, as a HR professional. And I loved, doing the shortlisting, long listing, doing the interviews. But now I noticed, after doing so many interviews, that there are many people who are talented, but they don't know how to interview. Or there are many people who are good at their jobs, but they don't know how to do their CVs. So my first client ever was actually my sister. So because she's my sister and I know her and I know the kind of work like she used to do, the place where she was being underpaid. So I did her CV, we did the LinkedIn profile, and she ended up getting a job where she was being paid like 6 times what she was earning before. And she was so excited. She even paid me, even if I was not asking for the money. So I thought to myself, if I can do for one person, maybe I can do for another person. So my sister introduced me to all her friends and everyone that she knew that, hey, my sister does CVs. And that's how it started. So it's not something that I really planned to do. I think it was just, I don't know, fate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really looking at your career, you've done so well. You've supported so many people. Your work really is transformative. But Joan, I wonder if you could share with us, how you've been able to balance being a mom, but also getting into this career support space. How was it? How was it getting into this space, being a mom?
So I would say I always feel like I became a mom the same time I was starting my business. So it's like both of them were growing like at the same time. I love the fact that my work is very flexible, and so I can be able to prioritize what's important. And like for me right now, spending quality time with my kids, is number one. And I love that my work allows me to do that. And so I think what has really helped is knowing what is important and prioritizing it. And so being a good time, like a good manager of time, for me, I think the greatest asset for me is usually time. You'd rather waste my money, but like time, because you see, like time lost, you can never recover it again. If I miss a milestone, like my child walking, or their tooth falling off, like those small things, they never come back, and they are not going to be young forever. So being able to manage that time, I think for me has been the greatest thing. I wouldn't even say I've gotten the balance. I think every day it's just it's havoc. It's like beautiful chaos. It's just like I think every day, and maybe like I think many mothers are going to relate. It's like you're always angry. You're always angry, tired, exhausted. There's some good days. Hey, but most of the days, my friend, hey, um, you're looking for school fees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's I wouldn't say it's easy, but then like like there are all those beautiful moments that you wouldn't change, and then you just remember that like everything is worth it. Yeah.
And it's interesting that you say that because lots of women really struggle with this tension between being a career woman, and also choosing to be there and present for their families, their children more so. So there's lots of mom guilt.
Yeah.
And finding that balance can be very, very tricky. So, in your view, how have you found that balance, and how can other women find the balance as well?
All right. I actually love that question because it's something that I think about. And I also, I normally stop to take stock, like just to see whether am I on the right track. So for me, it's really important that I show up healthy and happy for my kids. I wouldn't want to like ensure that they are eating, they have a roof over their heads and clothes, but then they're not happy. I want my kids happy and healthy and enjoying their childhood. I also want me to be happy. Like I want to like enjoy my kids. I want to play with them. So ensuring that both the kids and myself, we are both healthy and happy is a priority. And how do I ensure Joanne is healthy and happy? A lot of self-care. So not only do I prioritize, spending time with them, ensuring like food is on the table, but then also I'm taking care of Joanne so that I show up as a happy mom, and thereby, like I'm healthy for my kids. I don't want to be like so stressed out that, like I'm lashing out of like on them, and I'm, like I'm not just showing up as a healthy, happy mom. But then for that to happen, there's a lot of things that need to happen like in the background. So like ensuring that you have good help, because I can't be there with my kids all 24/7 all the time. And if you don't have good help at home, then all the time you're thinking of going back home because the help is not good. So things like even how you take care of the nannies, like the house managers, from when you hire them, from like from the time you're interviewing them, you'd rather spend a lot of time interviewing and getting someone, but then you ensure you get the right people, because those are the people that you're going to leave your kids with. My nannies take care of my kids and they cook my food. If they want to poison me and my children, like they can. So getting the right team like goes like a really long way, I think. And then, as I said at the beginning, I really am very intentional about stopping and thinking, are we doing okay? Are the kids okay? Is there something I need to do? Do I need to spend more time with them? Have I been like spending too much time at work? Can we do X, Y, and Z together? Can I take each child? Because the other thing is I realized early on, because I have 3 boys, it's very easy to, I want to do everything with the 3 of them, but they're 3 completely different boys, 3 completely different personalities. So I'm really trying to take each, like now, we do different like dates. So like taking each boy for a date, because what my first son Hazel loves is not what the second born loves, and it's not what the third born loves. It's very hard individualizing the kids, but then very important. Then you get to spend each time, time with each child to know what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what do they need, and how can you show up for them to the best of your ability. I think at this point it's to the best of your ability, because you cannot do everything, but enough to not feel, I wish I'd done that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about having individual time with your children. How do you do it? How do you date your children? Because I hear people say, I'm taking this child for a date. And how do you do it? How do you ensure that everyone is getting similar time with their mom?
Yeah, so it's actually exactly that, like picking an activity and then like doing it with just that one child. So like now, my firstborn loves cars. So if you're doing a date anything, it's going to be something to do with cars. It doesn't have to be actually outside the house. It can even be like at home when maybe the other 2 are doing like a different activity. But it's blocking out time, even if it's 30 minutes to an hour, and doing an activity with one child and not the 3 of them. So in the beginning, I used to love doing things that it was the 3 of them. Because I'm like, like we are spending time, all of us. But then I noticed, especially the middle child, because there's the middle child syndrome, they tend to feel forgotten. So I know my second born, particularly, he needs like so much attention, more than the first and the last one. And so I'm very intentional like about spending more time with them. So it's just blocking out time and doing an activity with just one child. Yeah, and then now you have to ensure that you do it across the board.
Yeah.
Because you cannot date one and leave the rest.
Yeah, wow. That's such an interesting insight. Joan, sometimes when we look at you on social media, you look so put together.
Oh my
goodness. We look at Joan and we're like, oh my gosh, I wish we could be like Joan.
Hardly.
We wish we could be like Joan. I wonder, is that true? Are you put together?
I don't think so. You know how like ducks, when you look at them, they're like so graceful and so peaceful. But underneath, that is the exact.
So there's another layer
the
to
exact
you.
picture. There's a lot of, but there's a lot going on, and I think it's for all moms. Let me just speak for myself. No, like I don't know how I look on social media. How do I look?
You look very put together. Like you figured out life, you're thriving and excelling at everything that you do. Just having the Midas touch on everything that you get into.
No, it's chaos.
Yeah.
It is. No, like as I think it's chaotic. Like it is chaotic. Well, I try as much as possible because I thrive in order. So the thing is, I went to boarding school when I was in class 3. So I think from a very early age, my life has been like very military. So I only thrive when there's order, and so I think I just put systems in place. I try as much as possible to have like systems that are running. But truth of the matter is, being a mom, I think it's beautiful chaos. I like calling it beautiful chaos because it's difficult. There are times when you feel inadequate. You're trying to juggle 57 things at the same time. there are times the kids are going to get on your nerves. The very last one, like you love them, but then you're like, hey. And so there's just a lot. So you really need to find your, is it the center? Your center. Yeah, like you really need to center yourself. And I think for me, so like that center for me is Christ. And I think my relationship with God has done a lot in terms of like just centering me. But it's not, trust me, I don't know how it looks from the outside looking in, but it's not at all roses and hey, no.
Yeah. So I wonder, Joanne, if you could share with us, any challenges that you faced in your motherhood.
Hey, do you have time?
We have lots
do we
of
have time?
And maybe, just to add on, you could also share with us, how you were able to surmount those challenges as well.
All right. So, like, I think the biggest one for me so far as a mom has been, so my firstborn son, did not speak until he was about like 4. And at the time, 2 years, he's not saying anything. He just had a few words. So that was a very scary time for me. And of course it was I think 1 year after, like 2021 thereabouts. So at this time I also now had my second born, and my second one was a newborn, and then the firstborn is having, he had delayed speech. It was such a difficult time. We needed to get a speech therapist. I needed to study everything there was about delayed speech. I normally say I studied that thing like I was reading for an exam. Like I studied it. I taught my nanny, like we were full throttle on this thing. So eventually he spoke, but I remember that time was very difficult. The other one, of course, it's like having three boys under 5. It means it's very expensive. It's very expensive to raise kids. If I never used to buy diapers, I think I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Just diapers and wipes.
Yeah.
So I think it's very expensive to raise kids. Just even thinking about like the finances, because then not only are you thinking about the bills now, but even later, like college, like high school. So finances alone, people around me will tell you, if you want to make me smile, just tell me I'm getting money for school fees.
Yeah.
Like, hey. Yeah, so finances is a big one. And then I think lastly is parenting. So one of the things I'm really scared about is raising spoiled kids, or not raising my kids right, or raising kids who one day they're going to be asked, wewe mama yako ni nani? Because of maybe the way they behave, like maybe they're not disciplined. I'm so scared of raising kids who are not kind, who are not, like, I just want to raise good men, kind men, godly men. So I'm scared that, or rather I keep asking myself, am I parenting these boys right? I'm afraid of raising men who are too feminine, because our house just has women. And so, so the parenting bit, I wouldn't say like I've gotten it. I try as much as possible, but I wouldn't say I've gotten it 100%. I try and read books to see, like what can I do? But for me, I would say the 3 would be parenting, the finances, and then the struggling with speech with my son.
Yeah. So, Joanne, in spite of all these challenges, what does self-care look like for you? I'm sure there are women who are watching this podcast and wondering, I'm juggling motherhood, I'm juggling my career, I'm juggling all these things, including taking care of the extended family, etc. How do we keep sane? How do we ensure that our mental health is catered for?
All right.
So what does self-care look like for you?
Okay, so for me, and I think self-care would look, it's different for different people. So at the top of my list is my mind. As I said in the beginning, I want to be happy like emotionally healthy and happy. If I'm not emotionally healthy and happy, I can't work, I can't show up for my kids, I won't be a good boss, I'll just be a horrible, bitter human being. So, and for me, how do I take care of my mind? Like for me, it's, and maybe, I don't know if people are going to agree or not, it looks different for different people. For me, it's spending time with God. The thing that clears my mind is spending like time with God. I've noticed when I'm not spending time with God, I'm just a complete mess. For some people, it's therapy. For some people, it's working out. For some people, it's like different things. For me, the number one is spending time with God. It's also exercise. When I'm not exercising, I'm at my worst. It's also eating right. Oh my goodness. If I'm doing and there are times when, and I just know I'm just going down the hill, when I'm doing KFC and I'm just eating badly, I just know there's something that is not right. So those three things, spending time with God, exercising, and eating well, for me, those are the things that make me feel I'm at my best. And then now there are also now other things like, going for like a facial or a massage. I wish I had money to travel more. I think I would do that more, but probably not. But I would say for me, those are the top of my list.
Yeah, and they sound so practical, really. Sounds like something that people can actually take up and add to their routine, and it would be great for them. I wonder if you could tell us a little more about your three boys. We see them all the time on social media, and they look so cute. Are their personalities like yours? And what have you learned from raising boys?
So, like one of the things that I love is they are different in terms of, I find them more extroverted than me, which is like perfect. So, they love being with people. When they meet anyone, they're like, "Hi, how are you?" And like, it's amazing. I'm not like that. Like my comfort zone is my house and my cocoon, and that they're very different is just amazing. They have different personalities. Like my first one is very extroverted. The second one is more introverted. Then the last one is just, he's a boss. Yeah, like he's the boss of all of them. And I think just because he's trying to find his voice, what have I learned from raising boys? So I think for me, like the greatest thing has been, especially for my second born son, you can't just do things without telling him. So like if we are going somewhere, like you have to tell him, like, we are going to this and this place. You can't just decide on things and just, I think being a good communicator, which I've learned, I don't think I was a very good communicator. And now, like these little humans, they want to be talked to, and you have to talk to them in a language that they understand. That we are doing X, Y, and Z. We are going here, and then after this, you're going to do this. My second, again, let me just say my second one. I think it applies to all of them. So I think growing up, our household was very like noisy. So us guys, we used to just shout at each other. My second born, like you shout at him, he looks at you like you're a madu. Like, what's wrong with you? Can you talk like a normal person? Yeah. So like him, you have to communicate very well. And I don't think previously I was a very good communicator. And if you if I shout, he's going to shut down, and now I'll just be talking to myself. So it does not matter if I'm angry or we're happy. Like that communication, it needs to be done well. And so I think especially around communication, that has really is something I think I've really learned. Communication, and then patience. Potty training alone, hey, or like you're trying to feed a child, or you're trying to teach them you're trying to teach them something, they'll probably not get it the first time or the second time or even the 50th time, but you need to like keep at it. I think those like for me, communication and patience.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. They sound like such wonderful boys.
Yeah. Most of the time. Most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good boys most of the time.
Yeah. So, Joanne, there's probably a young mom out there who is, just wondering how she will raise her baby who's just come, but also really, excel in her career. What encouragement would you give such women?
So the first thing, and I think this is very, very important. So I think I really wanted kids. So the first thing I would say, because I think we tend to over glamorize motherhood, and it's very difficult from when you're carrying the pregnancy to like kwanza after giving birth, the fourth trimester, to like it's very difficult. And that's what I was asking, like, how does it look from the outside? Because in the inside, it's very difficult. Like, sometimes I think we probably over glamorize it, and then people want to get into it, and then just to get into it and to see why didn't you guys tell us all this? So I think motherhood is very difficult, and I think you really need to be ready. There are people, luckily you're able to raise your children in a family with a dad and mom. For some people, that does not happen, and when you're in that situation again, you cannot say now, like, I'm alone. Like, what do I do? So you really need to be prepared to raise the kids, because it's not easy. I would say also, like, just like do your research to know, if you still don't have kids, like just doing your research to know, because motherhood is different for different people. Kids are also like very, very different, and like doing a lot of research about motherhood just helps you to be informed. I think community is also important. Getting like-minded people who raise their kids in a way that is very similar to yours, values, value systems. I think that is also very important.
Yeah. Wow. Joanne, we've had so much fun having you on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Really, the work that you do is so meaningful, and I'm sure so many women have benefited from it. And we can't wait to share you with the world.
Thank you.
So that your words can really encourage moms who are second guessing themselves in the career space, second guessing their motherhood journeys. You've shared such wonderful nuggets, and we can't wait to share.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, karibu tena.
All right.